Oscar winner, Gary Oldman. Oscar winner, Matthew McConaughey. Oscar winner, Dustin Hoffman. Golden Globe winner, Tom Cruise. Oscar winner, Patricia Arquette. Emmy Award winner, Peter Dinklage. And Academy of Science Fiction, Fantasy, and Horror Films USA Award nominee, Kate Beckinsale. Either this week will be the greatest week we've seen on this podcast, or our beloved awards ceremonies are total made-up bullshit. We watched Rain Man and Tiptoes.
Ah, the French champagne.
Can you tell me which members of the Reservoir Dogs you two are currently dressed as?
I'm Mr. Pink.
Sis Blue.
So Miranda hasn't seen Reservoir Dogs.
Secret Nazis.
Yeah.
Secret Nazis.
Classic.
Classic Spielberg.
Classic Spielberg.
He needs to kill 94 different 65-year-old men over 2.5 years because those men's children are all identical clones of Adolf Hitler.
There's like a bunch of other shit that happens in Driven.
Is there?
Shake it. Shake it.
The schlocky movie from this week may be the schlockiest film we've ever seen on this podcast.
The Citizen Kane of the week is...
Yeah. Stick to the man.
Yeah.
Your Academy Awards don't own us. Our opinions are our own.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, Sean.
Jack, you're coming through your computer mic, eh?
Oh,
What?
Jack, you ruined the intro.
No,
okay,
it's
Oscar winner, Gary Oldman.
All right, there we go.
Yeah.
That's perfect. Do you want to take that back, or should we just keep going?
No.
No,
All right, it all stays. Fuck it.
Yeah.
All right.
It stays. Well, now that I have my mic properly in, I thought it was in before, but now that it's in for sure, I'll start by saying welcome to Citizen Kane Versus. This is a podcast. If you didn't somehow already know that, you've stumbled into a recording somewhere. It's a podcast where we take a movie that is considered to be more of a classic and we compare it to a movie that's more on the schlocky side. And we ask ourselves honestly, which is better? My name is Jack Rennie, and I'm joined by my two friends, one,
Sean Jacqueline.
and the other.
Daniel Benoit.
Is it back?
Oh, it's back, baby.
Could it be?
Oh.
What a disappointing arc. All this growth.
It's the mid-season arc.
It's too much energy to try and think of a new one every week.
Yeah.
I saw you like almost go to improv and then just deflate a little bit.
Yeah.
And just let it
Right, yeah.
let it go. Before we even get into it, I'm gonna remember top of podcast to say, hey, if you're listening, thank you so much. We love you. Maybe we'll do a longer call to action at the end, but like real quick, like take that second. It always helps us so much. Like, subscribe, follow us. We're on Twitch, we're on YouTube, we're on Twitter, we're on Instagram. You probably know how to navigate those platforms. If you rate and review us on, or if you rare us.
I like Revate. Revate is good too.
Revate us.
If you can revate us as well.
4 stars out of 4, please.
Forb. On any of the podcast apps, it all helps us. So
Are you guys sure you don't want to start this again, or like?
Absolutely not. This is gold.
This is good. This is like our best start in a while.
Comedy.
And the movies this week are as pitched by Sean.
Wait, no, don't say them. Don't say them because I have synopses.
Oh, then synopses them for us.
Okay.
Do it.
Okay. In the blue corner, representing the classics, a selfish douche who learns how to love his autistic brother after kidnapping him to steal his inheritance and exploiting his intelligence to get out of debt. Coming in at 133 minutes, starring Tom Cruise and Dustin Hoffman, Rain Man.
Oh. And that's okay. Let's start over.
Yeah, that's probably the band. Okay, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah.
And in the red corner, representing the schlock, a handsome firefighter who loses his family to his older brother after the birth of his newborn son forces him to deal with the realities of coming from a family of little people. Coming in at 91 minutes, starring Matthew McConaughey and Gary Oldman, Tiptoes.
Oh my God. Yeah. Oh, thank you for finding a plot in that film.
Yeah.
Dude, it took me so long to figure
Yeah.
that one out.
Said
I
that, and
believe it.
I was like, he was a firefighter in that movie?
No, he trained firefighters.
I know, but it's just like, wait, what?
Oh, whatever.
No, but like,
Exactly.
but it's so irrelevant. And Sean, can you reiterate, just so I know again, how did you define the connective tissue of these movies?
Defined it last week as lead actors portraying a condition with which they have no experience whatsoever.
Right.
And I think after watching both, it can also be like the alienation of other, you know?
Just like kind of like actors ill-equipped for the role that they're undertaking is definitely a little theme in there. And just,
Ill-equipped?
Ill-equipped.
In what way would you say, do you mean ill-equipped?
Well, similar to what Sean is saying, more of a spin-off of that, it'll be subject to debate how these actors embodied these roles,
Right.
wherein they played marginalized peoples.
Right. Okay.
You know?
All right. Yeah.
So
This is also the podcast where we tiptoe around things that we know very little about.
that we
Good one.
also are ill-equipped to discuss.
Yeah.
So this is going to
Yeah.
be a good one.
I was
So
going to say,
welcome.
if there was ever a week where I was happy that no one listens to this podcast, it's this one, because I know that we're going to say some inappropriate shit in this episode.
It's going to be good when we delete it in like a week.
Yeah, but not for any like offensive
now.
reason that we said. It's just because one of us has a horrible secret in our past.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Tune in
Don't-
next week to find out.
Who and what and how. Yeah. I mean, these movies are, it's true. Like I was a bit skeptical at first, if I'm honest, and having watched them, I'm like, no. These are definitely two of an ilk. These are movies where it's like couldn't be clear actually how similar they are, where you have actually a whole bunch of representation. There's a lot of people in each of these movies, of people in Rain Man who we go to a whole home, like a whole care facility, and we see lots of people who are neurodiverse and dealing with varying degrees of mental illnesses, but just kind of going about their business and living their lives. And then we also have in Tiptoes like a whole bunch of performers who are little people, and then the leads are played by like just Gary Oldman and Dustin Hoffman, just like, and it's almost harder in Tiptoes for whatever reason, because they showcase so many little people as well. Like they aren't just, they're not nearly as adjacent to the movie as they are in like to the main plot of the movie as they are in Rain Man. It's like you have all of these actors all around the place in front of us, and yet
Well, and Peter Dinklage is
Peter Dinklage.
right there. Peter Dinklage is right there, and you cast Gary Oldman as the lead.
Yeah,
When we
right?
have a wonderful, misused Peter Dinklage right beside him.
Yeah, it's a little unforgivable. Well, should we launch into these bad boys or
I mean these bad boys.
These bad boys.
bad boys?
Are you doing a Peter Dinklage French accent?
Yeah, trying as hard as he did.
Oh my goodness.
There should be a law against Peter Dinklage doing accents in movies.
Thank you. Yes, I agree.
Agreed. I mean, and Gary Oldman.
And Gary Oldman.
He's not much better.
Oh, Gary.
Well, yeah, okay. Well,
Yeah.
we'll get into that.
We'll get into that.
Save
We'll
it
get
for
into
the
that.
pod. What? So let's get into it. So our first round, story good? Ding ding ding
Ding, 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 ding. Well, perhaps if I can be allowed to play a 2-minute trailer, I think this is where it would be. So I'm going to, for anyone who hasn't
Wasted
seen,
zero time there, Sean.
I think this is the best place to go. I think this is the best place to go because
right.
there's some surprise. So I think, and YouTube comment, tell me what this trailer is for. What kind of movie is this trailer really for?
Amazing. I haven't seen it.
Carol and Steven's life together was perfect.
I've got to get going.
Right this second. Hey, baby.
Hey, sweetie. I love you.
There's one small problem.
Oh my god.
I'm Ralph. I'm his brother. We're twins.
Are your parents,
Yeah.
It can tear them apart
I think you gotta let me know that everyone in your family's a midget.
They're not midgets, Carol. They're dwarfs.
Whatever.
or bring them together.
Hey, welcome. I'm Steven.
Oh, there you are. This is Steven's father, Bruno, and his mom, Kathleen. And over behind the bar is Steven's brother, Rolf.
Hi.
You could have prepared us for this, don't you think? If you embarrass me, I'll never speak to you again, so just get it together.
How's everybody's drink?
I think maybe I'm pregnant.
When the going gets rough, it's only the size of your heart that counts.
Is it really that big of a deal if our kid was a dwarf?
You knocked up this great girl and you didn't tell her that her baby's probably gonna be little.
I'm not like you.
We are so cute and cuddly. Don't discriminate against us.
You said these parties got a little wild. I never expected this. There's sure a lot of midgets around here.
You better back off, Goldie Hawn. My man can do what he wants to do.
I'm ready for an adult relationship.
What is this man doing in your bedroom?
A walk down the aisle
Steven's he's a very lucky guy. I just hope he's smart enough not to screw it up.
is just a beginning.
There'll be rough patches, there's no doubt about it.
Canal Plus and Langley Productions proudly present command performances from Kate Beckinsale, Matthew McConaughey,
Command performance.
Patricia Arquette, and in the role of a lifetime, Gary Oldman. Tiptoes.
Okay.
Is that real? Is that the real trailer?
That is the real trailer for 2003's Tiptoes.
Can we also just really quickly talk about how they called the movie Tiptoes and what that title is supposed to even be? You have to go up on your tiptoes to kiss someone when
I guess
you're a little
so.
person?
I guess so.
Or,
so I want
know.
reactions though. I want so based on that trailer, what kind of movie are you heading into?
it's like a quirky, playful, oopsie movie, but not without its serious, emotional, Oscar-worthy moments in the outing of a lifetime.
Command performances.
The command
by
performance of
In the
Mr.
role of a lifetime.
Gary Oldman.
Oh, it was a beautiful thing.
I also love that they include the word midget so much in the trailer, which is they make a point of in the movie of trying to get across that it's a very offensive word to little people, and yet they're using it in their marketing campaign.
But in the commercial, it's like, come see all the midgets.
And if you notice, who is the only of the actors they say are giving command performances and role of a lifetime performances, who's the one actor that is not named?
Peter Dinklage?
Binging. Yeah. The only
Right.
actual little person is not included in your promotional material. Except
Oopsie.
for his one we are wonderful people line.
Which is the opposite of his character. His character is the most violent person in the whole movie.
Was he wasn't famous at that point though, right? He was still kind of coming up.
Yeah, one station agent. I think that might have been after. So yeah, this would be an early Peter Dinklage.
Yeah, because I had no idea who Peter Dinklage was until I think Game of Thrones.
Sure.
Yeah, so they're using the names to draw people in, blah blah blah. No one knows who Peter Dinklage is. But fun fact about Tiptoes, because we talk about what kind of movie they're promoting. And Sean, I'm sure you probably read this in your research. The original version of this movie, the director's cut, was 150 minutes.
2.5 hours.
2.5 hours long. And the studio was like, yeah, no. And they fired the director.
Yeah.
But apparently Peter Dinklage is on record as saying that the original version is like this gorgeous film. And the studio turned it into, I think he called it a rom-com with dwarves.
I read that too, and I believe Peter Dinklage when he says that when he means in that statement that the 150-minute version probably was more coherent and therefore a better film.
Yeah.
I'm not, but like there were full scenes in the cut we watched today, the 90-minute cut, that are mind-bogglingly terrible. So I can't imagine that like adding another whole movie onto this thing would make it a good movie.
Yeah, there's in the same way that I wouldn't be convinced that the Snyder cut of Justice League is gonna fix that movie.
Yeah.
Oh, I am fucking waiting for the day that I have 4 hours free to dive into that thing.
Why?
I'm so curious about it. I'm so morbidly curious about that.
I kind of want to
movie.
pitch it on the pod. I want to do like a director's cut.
Well, I was thinking Lawrence of Arabia versus
like long movies.
The director's cut Blade Runner versus director's cut Justice League.
Ooh, that would be a good one.
Yep, it would actually.
Yeah.
Fucking 4 hours. Anyways, this isn't a new Justice League movie review podcast. This is a probably going to be insensitive episode about Rain Man and Tiptoes.
We're tiptoeing a lot though. It's good. It's good. As we should, show respect. This movie is unerringly bad. It's so consistently terrible. The scenes between Matthew McConaughey and Kate Beckinsale are so
who are
consistently.
Not trying. They are not. They didn't show up for the movie.
False. Matthew McConaughey is acting his fucking ass off.
No,
in this movie.
he is.
Yes, he is.
He's trying. Oh my God, no. I agree, Dan. He is trying to. He's trying to find his method. Or he's trying to find his dramatic acting style, and it's so difficult for him to do because he's trying to make every scene completely about him and his emotions, and it's so frustrating and infuriating to watch as an audience. And then you have Kate Beckinsale, who then just always has to be like, there, like, it's okay, like, whatever. Like, and has to, like, kind of go forward with the scene, even though he's, like, rolling off into his own emotional space.
Oh, wow. I had a totally different experience. I felt bad for him because he was the only one who was, like, actually doing any kind of acting with garbage material. And Kate Beckinsale was, I think she was hot garbage. She was so bad. Either. She was so bad that I didn't realize it was her until I looked it up in the credits later. Yeah. I thought she was like some new LA actress who they hired for like $50 to be in a movie.
A Kate Beckinsale type. Yeah,
exactly.
But what do you mean?
Fun fact also, she agreed to do that movie for scale if the director allowed her to wear her lucky hat, which she's wearing.
The striped one?
Yeah, it's the one that she's wearing when she confronts him at the firefighters retreat.
I just made a note of that. It's like, so she found out that her brother's family is majority little people, and that Matthew McConaughey is an outlier in that statistic. And she wanted to go confront him at his firefighter training retreat.
Yeah,
and get the know-how. So she packed up her stuff, went to prepare to have a very serious conversation. So she put on a very silly hat. You gotta have a silly hat
pajamas
for a serious conversation.
Yeah, didn't pack up at all. She just hopped in the car with what she was wearing and fucking
brought her like silly hat. His silly
and
hat.
drove for 4 hours to go confront him.
It's hard to explain. If you haven't seen this movie, imagine something sort of like a Dr. Seuss. It's like from Whoville. It's like this I don't know what it's like, a beanie that turns into, it's like a funnel. It's like a loose funnel.
It's like a Charles Dickens Ebenezer Scrooge sleeping hat, but if it was the floor of a 50s diner.
And that's her silly hat for serious conversations.
And here's my question. If you are, this is complete acting notes maybe, or this is general notes. If you are an actor such as Kate Beckinsale and you agree to do this bullshit for scale because they're allowing you to wear your fun hat, are you A, so rich you've gone insane? Or B, I don't think there's a B. Is Kate Beckinsale insane?
I don't think Kate Beckinsale was that rich in 2003. Was she just like pumping out movies at that point?
She had her fit, but like at what point does money become something that you can just not earn it so you can wear your hat, or is she a nutter that loves her hat? I don't know.
Look, I think you undervalue the power of luck. You know, it's way more valuable than money.
That's true. Maybe it would have made this movie better if she'd been allowed to wear it for every scene.
You know,
It
she probably
would've.
thinks that
It
because
would've.
she wore her lucky hat in this movie, she landed the Underworld franchise. You know,
That's true.
It's probably because of the lucky hat.
Kate, we saw your lucky hat. How'd you like to be in a film?
We thought you'd be a great vampire.
Yeah.
Yeah, and again, it's hard to explain the story of Tiptoes, which we're of course starting with because you have to. It's such a captivatingly bad movie. So it's 90 minutes, and you can tell once you hear the fact that it was cut down for something larger, it makes so much sense because it goes for an hour 10 even, and it seems like the whole movie is just going to be about them resolving the issue of his family history essentially, and dealing with a new birth. And you're like, okay, and then you're like 20 minutes, if that, from the end of the movie, and suddenly it's like fade to black, fade in, baby's born, fade to black, fade in, the baby is a bit older and it's crying. And then it's like now they've broken up and it's dramatic, and she's at a cabin with his brother, and then he comes back and he wants to make it work, but she says no or something, and then
yeah, right. That is every scene in the last 30 minutes of the film. Is Matthew McConaughey's there, he's mad, he sits down, he says something, and they have to think. And then the next scene, he's mad, they have to sit down and they think some more. Then
and then the movie, at the very end, she's still at the cabin with Matthew McConaughey's brother, with Rolf, played by Gary Oldman. Mm-hmm. They kiss, and it is very out of place. And then hard credits, fucking slam the curtains down. This show is over. Go home, everyone. I literally leapt forward and clapped when
give that man an Academy Award,
because they kissed and I saw it and I was like, do it. I was like, end the movie there. And then they ended it and I was like, yes, you did it. You ruined it completely. It's terrible. It was awesome. It was one of the best movie experiences I've had in a while. Just having a movie end there. My goodness.
I like the one review that I found that speaks the clearest on what this movie is Bill Gibran of Pop Matters. He called the film insensitive, adding, "It was clearly crafted as a wake-up call to all the nasty normals out there. It substitutes schmaltz for sincerity to create a heated hate crime all its own."
Yeah.
That's what I chose for our podcast this week.
Oh.
Yeah, that pretty
so
much
Dan,
sums it up.
did you have a good time watching Tiptoes?
Yeah.
No, I sure did not.
I feel like you struggle with that scale of like the so bad it's good scale. Usually I feel like we watch Battlefield Earth and you're like, I can't. You're like, it's
I love Battlefield Earth.
Oh, Sean didn't love that
I love
one.
Battlefield Earth. This movie was not so bad it's good. This movie was just fucking bad.
I mean, yes.
There was nothing. I mean, the only so bad it's good moment I think there was in the entire film was when Gary Oldman walks in on his, I think, girlfriend having sex with this celebrity guy, and they're just like fucking at this party. And it's only funny because they're fucking at this party in a room full of windows on the first floor, like directly looking out into the party.
Like a pool house made of windows with all the party guests around it watching.
David Allen Greer.
With David Allen Greer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that was the only moment where it felt kind of like a bad raunchy comedy vibe to it. But everything else was just horrible. Like,
no, didn't you like the part where they were in bed and as like kind of like romantic sexy talk, she asks him if he ever had sex with a little person, and he's like, only playing doctor, and she responds with, what, you had a circle jerk with a bunch of little people? I'd love to see that. And then it like goes into them making out and having one assumes having sex. So
no, doesn't that scene end with her being like, actually, you have an ambivalence towards little people and you need therapy?
That is that scene. There are so
That's
many
that scene.
scenes in the bed where they whisper and I don't understand what's happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I couldn't hear anyone in this movie.
No. And then the first scene when it's just her alone in her apartment and he comes home and like you can have a conversation. It's midday. You're alone in your apartment and they're whispering everything to each other.
Their apartment, their warehouse that they live in together.
With his
ridiculous
fireman
movie
trainer
apartments.
money.
Yeah, fireman.
Well, no, it's
training
probably
money.
her. It's probably her painter money.
Oh,
Yeah.
right. Of
Yeah.
Well,
course.
did you also notice that every time
They must have a podcast on the side.
yeah. Every time there's a small talk scene where someone gets to know someone else, the only thing they talk about is what they do and how much money they make. There's 3 conversations, all
right.
within like 2 scenes of each other where that happens.
I didn't register any of those. I couldn't tell you what
yeah.
anybody in this movie does except for Matthew McConaughey and Kate Beckinsale.
Yeah, there's some talk of it at the party they're at, of like what do you do for money, and then his mom asks her whether painting earns her a lot of money, and she says it pays the bills. And then in the next scene, the dad asks him what that fireman thing, if that it makes money, and he says, "Well, fires are never going out of style." So,
I mean, good answer. One of the only moments I'll give praise where it's due, in my opinion. You might I imagine you disagree with me because it's easy to sign off this movie. I thought the one bit that was actually kind of good, and I actually genuinely smiled, kind of laughed a bit at it, was at that dinner party where they're meeting each other's parents.
yeah. Well,
And they tease that Kate Beckinsale's parents are going to be kind of bigoted about them being little people. And then the mother finally says it like, if it's not a Jewish ceremony, it's going to be an issue. And everyone kind of laughs and goes, yeah, like that's fine. They have their own little moments about it. It's actually kind of charming. It's like a hint of what a good movie could have been.
okay, so like that, the emotion I felt there was, you know, when you're at your like friend's house and like their parents are in a fight or like they get in a lot of trouble, but you're like just there. That was what I felt like, and I hated every second of it.
But then they break the tension. They make you feel
No.
like that. And then,
that caused that tension.
No. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm like, okay. You know, as you do.
yeah. I mean, again, this movie inspires lots of different things in different people. It's
Inspires.
yeah, it's a very inspiring movie.
I want to know whether
that's
that's
hot trash.
They focus so much on the tramp stamp that I wonder if it's hers, and she was like, "No, you have to feature my new tattoo" or something like that.
I think so. That tattoo on her arm bothered me a lot. It's a really bad tattoo.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is also, here's the thing. They cut down. This is what they kept. That's also the thing that's really hard to wrap my head around.
There was clearly like I'm pretty sure the first hour 15 goes uncut of this film, and it's only around the wedding, like from when the family makes the awkward joke that we're like, oh, they're not bigoted, great. From that point on, I'm pretty sure that should be another hour, and it's only like 20 minutes.
Yeah. I also just want to randomly reiterate that in this movie, Gary Oldman and Michael McConaughey are supposed to be twin brothers.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean because Gary Oldman is clearly like 40 years older than Matthew McConaughey?
Yeah. In real life, he's 12 years older, but that's like 12 Gary Oldman years older. Like Gary Oldman, Matthew McConaughey is also a very youthful person.
To criticize both films, then Dustin Hoffman was 50 and Tom Cruise was 25, and they're supposed to be like separated by like 4 or 5 years, I think.
No, I think
really?
he's supposed to be like he shows him a picture of him as like a teenager holding him as a baby.
Was he a teen? I thought he was like a 4-year-old.
I think it's like a over a decade difference.
Yeah, I think he's supposed to be like.
Well, okay, still 25 years. 25 years.
Yeah, but not quite the same as saying we are twins. We are the same age.
No.
When you're like looking at Gary Oldman's face, and you're like, look. Two twin brothers can look different. It's true, but no. They kept a lot of the stuff they kept though. They kept the scene of Gary Oldman going to his partner, his like old fling. You find out they've been together for a while, but she's kind of a prostitute.
Sally?
Sally, maybe.
Yeah.
Right, yeah, it was Sally.
And then the guy who comes in, who she mentions that she slept with him 2 times because she felt bad that he was from the Gaza Strip.
Yeah.
Is that what she says?
Correct, yes. He's a Palestinian who was evicted from the Gaza Strip.
Cool.
So she had sex with him. Yeah.
Yeah, cool movie. Cool. Let's do we want to talk about that too? Let's talk about Israel Palestine in this podcast as well. What do you think?
I think we're down to solve it.
Yeah, let's do it. But then they get in like a really terrible fight. Like, I just don't understand. I don't understand what this movie possibly could have been, if I'm being honest. I don't get it. I don't get it.
See, I have a theory that the 2.5-hour version of this movie was actually like a beautiful exploration of the little people community and all the trials and tribulations that come along with that.
Mm-hmm.
And a Hollywood studio saw it and was like, no, this is not palatable for a regular audience. We have to make it something that's more easily digestible. So they tried to turn it into like American Pie with little people.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So I actually think that what we saw, the entire thing was probably like hacked to bits.
Yeah.
The entire thing.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think more than what you suggested for sure, Sean. Was...
I don't know, because it is a coherent. Okay, so Matthew McConaughey's character is not coherent at all. So maybe there's a lot of McConaughey we're missing from the first half of the movie.
And Gary Oldman's character.
That's true.
Doesn't make any sense. There's I don't even. It's supposed to be like the lead character, I guess, and he's not.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what his character, like why he's there, except to be a little person.
Yeah. They definitely were supposed to have way more time to fall in love at his log cabin in the last half of the movie. Like, there was supposed to be way more of that.
But here's the thing though, of like why even I agree with you, Dan. I think this was this smells of studio interference kind of ruining a movie like that could have had something more for sure.
Yeah.
But regardless,
I don't think it. Well, actually, go on. Go ahead.
Okay. But like, regardless, as Sean also said, there are lots of full scenes in this movie that are abysmal, and not just scenes, but like whole character development. Like, I gotta also mention that Matthew McConaughey's character in this movie is a totally fucked up person,
just awful. And
completely
both
toxic.
films this week, you're like, what the fuck is going on with leading men right now?
Yeah, that his treatment of everyone is really weird and messed up, and how he negotiates that relationship is like really messed up and toxic, and he doesn't really get to redeem himself. At the end of this movie, he's like still a dick, and we see sorry, just one second, we see Peter Dinklage, who's also like this like other kind of more focal male character who's like really angry because he's a Marxist.
Yeah,
or something. And then
think
Gary
his
Oldman's
only
character, Gary Oldman's defining feature is that he's just not mean. That's it.
And with Peter Dinklage, he's an ornery guy. He's got a lot of issues, but you're led to, like, he's suffering from a lot of pain. He's kind of the character we get to discover that like it's not social stigma only that they have to go through. It's also intense physical pain because of because of their bodies. So when he suddenly is a misogynistic asshole at the end, that's a huge character turn that was not directed towards in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah. End of movie. Everyone has split up.
except for Gary and Kate.
Yep. On the day that his brother came to visit his son.
And Patricia Arquette. What was
I'm
Patricia
kiss
Arquette?
His wife.
That's for later. That whole like relationship between Peter and Patricia. What was that for?
It was just two free spirits, exploring the world together. Yeah. And it was showing that like regular people can also love little people, man.
I think it's a shame that Peter Dinklage and Patricia Arquette haven't been reprising those roles just in every movie since Tiptoes. I think they should have been just tangential free spirit characters in everything else.
French, yeah.
We're talking Mission Impossible. We're talking James Bond. We're talking The Notebook. we're talking. Like they're just in every one of them. Is these?
Oh,
characters.
they're just. I was like, what? Who were they
Is
in
that
the Notebook?
is that Patricia Arquette in the Notebook? No, that's fucking Rachel
No.
McAdams, right?
No, I'm saying that I want to see these characters back again and again and again.
He wants them in those.
Gotcha.
films.
Okay.
Well, should we talk about the other film that we are neglecting because of the cancerous tumor that
because of the hate crime that is
the hate crime.
Yeah, something way more palatable. Fucking Rain Man. Holy shit!
I think it actually is a lot more.
It is
palatable
more
than
palatable.
Tiptoe.
It's absolutely more palatable.
Well,
100%. At least it's a movie.
I mean, maybe.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah,
So I spent most of the movie trying to anticipate where the two of you would take issue with this movie.
So we're living up there rent free, are we, buddy?
What's that?
So we're living up there rent free, is what you're saying?
What do you mean?
In your brain, in your mind.
Oh yes, exactly. Yeah.
Oh yeah, we're all up in there.
So I'd like to start, seeing as Jack has already voiced his issues with this movie. I'd like to start by tackling those and asking what exactly did you find problematic about Rain Man?
Look, I'll be honest with you. I was in a similar state with myself. I was watching Rain Man being like, okay, I'm just going to prepare myself for a moment where I go, holy fuck. Like that was my experience. And in the end, I was mainly more just upset at Tom Cruise.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's the
and
most
Tom
toxic
Cruise's
part.
character.
Yeah.
Man,
Yeah.
fuck that. Like I had such a bad time watching Rain Man because having Tom Cruise's fucking angry character literally just yell at this autistic man for
2 hours.
2 hours before they share a joke at the diner and then it's all cool. Like it is so frustrating and hard to watch and cringeworthy.
Yeah.
That was my main issue. That detracted from any social I guess issue I might have with this movie. It was that I just couldn't believe that that's what it was. He was, and I think Tom Cruise's acting. It's not just the character. I also didn't like Tom Cruise in this movie.
Yeah.
I didn't. First of all, I didn't buy it. I thought he was
the job he was doing
acting well. Oh, okay. I'll give you that much. He was at least trying to do the job, but I didn't like it, and I didn't buy it all.
That's
the time.
fair. That's fair. Same. If I'm being honest with myself, I felt weird about this movie because I kind of knew that this was a very now stereotyped portrayal, but it's because of Hoffman's performance that this is such a stereotyped portrayal, and largely that is the criticism this film draws, is that yes, overnight awareness of people with neurodiverse people skyrocketed in the general population, which did, I'm sure, good things for the community, but it also is now his form of savant autism is 1% of the 1% of the spectrum, right? So now people, when they hear autism, they think Rain Man, and that has negative effects on how people interact with neurodiverse people out in public, So I knew that was going to be we're about to sit through a stereotype here.
Right. Yes. I mean, it is a good point, though, to mention the fact that he wasn't portraying a stereotype at the time.
Yeah.
Right. So I guess the question then is is that, even though it's become a stereotype and kind of is now looked down upon because it doesn't represent a large spectrum of the autism spectrum, does it still mean that it's wrong to tell a story about somebody with that particular form of savantism, even though it's just a very, very small fraction of the population?
With Temple Grandin in I think 2010 that came out. That was the Academy Awards in Hollywood really like to pat themselves on the back every time they put out a film that features someone that isn't normally accepted into their ranks. So anytime a film like this comes out and it's good, like I Am Sam, A Beautiful Mind. Yeah. Oh no, but I Am Sam, as we learn in Tropic Thunder, is the one where he went home empty-handed. But
Right. And that educational documentary, Tropic Thunder.
Tropic Thunder.
Yeah, it's and here's the thing, kind of the blanket statement that I kind of will opine is that it's that thing where this whole issue, right, of representation in filmmaking, listening to these communities, one of the general things that they're saying is like, yeah, like they understand what acting is, and they also agree, like, yeah, people should be playing different things and different perspectives, as long as it's done with respect. That would be okay. That would be cool. However, it's the lack of representation coming from those communities in terms of the ones creating the stories and from the opportunities for them to exist in the community of in this case acting and filmmaking, that if it wasn't such a great imbalance and it wasn't being used as Dustin Hoffman as a really blatant Oscar bid, and like because this movie is like the most
he was
blatant,
nominated.
Because it's like it's
I think
pure
he won.
Oscar bait.
And he won for this?
He won for Best Actor, yeah.
I'm pretty sure he did.
Sure, yeah, of course.
So it's just like, but I agree with you, Dan. This is one of those things where from the time that it was made, you have to wonder, like it's like
this movie did actually raise awareness, like Sean mentioned.
The Guardian wrote a piece, I think, to celebrate its like 30th year of release back in 2018, and they mentioned kind of the points I was saying, but the overall kind of brunt of the blame for the criticism, the author of the piece, he lies at the feet of Hollywood for making this film, cashing in on it, getting a lot of that. Oh, look at all the artists they care about, people who aren't necessarily always talked about in mainstream culture. Who look at us go, and then just pieced out on the autism spectrum for 2 decades until they again made Temple Grandin and were like, oh, look, come on, give us all the praise for being woke. Haha.
It's like how disappointing it was when you found out that like the makers of Slumdog Millionaire like totally took advantage of like the poor Indian kids that acted in those movies. And it's like, what?
Yeah.
But your movie is about their plight. How could you do this? It's that kind of issue.
They quote this movie as being the Apu of like Hollywood films, where like it's not done out of disrespect. It's clearly, just trying to become trying to normalize things, but in the end, it's kind of done in poor taste.
Yeah,
I don't know if I agree with that comparison though, because Apu is a stereotype. Yes. Apu is absolutely a racist caricature meant for the purpose of comedy. I don't think that's what Dustin Hoffman is doing.
They were going for respect. Like
they were going for respect. They had like an autism specialist on the consulting team who was guiding them through the whole process. Like they tried to approach it with as much respect as they could.
Yeah, I wouldn't put it at the feet of Hoffman.
No.
It's the larger Hollywood issue, right? I wouldn't really put it at the feet of this in this particular movie. Is kind of what I'm.
Hoffman's done much worse things in his life than this film.
Yeah,
so,
apparently not a very nice guy. Yeah. You're not welcome on the podcast, Hoffman.
Yeah, don't come on, Hoffman.
Yeah, unless you know Carrie Elways, in which case,
bring him on.
Bring him on.
We have no backbone.
Come on, Dustin. No, we don't want that. But look, it's like I knew what this movie wanted to be. I kind of resent it for being 2 hours and 20 minutes.
Yes.
And being an hour and a half at least of it is them on the road and Tom Cruise just yelling at him in the car, yelling at him in a hotel, yelling at him in the car.
Yeah.
It's draining.
It does get redundant really fucking fast because the entire story literally is guy learns he has a brother who has money that he feels entitled to. He takes him on a road trip where he's angry with him. He kidnaps him. Takes him on a road trip to LA to a custody hearing, and on the way he uses him to pull himself out of debt. And then for that, he finds himself becoming more like connected to his brother because he sees his value now.
Yeah, because he got him money.
Because he got him money.
And eventually he connects with him.
Yeah.
So I would like to ask you both, for both of these films, whose story is it?
Oh fuck.
Rain Man is absolutely Tom Cruise's story.
Yes, I agreed.
I'm inclined to agree with you in that, but I would say, is he a different person? Is he permanently a different person by the end of the film? We know he's going to go visit his brother every couple weeks at first, but is he a different person?
Well, that was the problem with this movie, is that there was not enough development in their relationship to actually show that he had fundamentally changed.
Right.
Yeah.
So
it looked like he made small compromises because he was dealing with someone who
and he
also
found a way to
wasn't
warm up
compromise,
to
right?
this guy.
So like I'd agree that it is his character's story, but I think it's poorly done. I think it's a poor arc. And for Tiptoes?
I think it's Kate Beckinsale's story, actually. I for a while I thought it was Matthew McConaughey's, because he's the one with he is the one who seemingly has the biggest problem, which is why I didn't entirely agree with you earlier, Jack, when you said that Matthew McConaughey is like a horrible person and a dick in this movie, because I think what they were trying to establish was someone who has some really deep rooted psychological issues surrounding his family situation that he had yet to come to terms with, right? So he was actually quite respectable and charming and like a kind enough person until he had to face that fact. They had to face the reality of what it meant, what it means to have a family of little people, or like try to have a family with somebody else, right? But the person who actually has the biggest problem is Kate Beckinsale, because she's the one who has the husband who is hiding stuff from her. She has to reconcile being with someone who can potentially give her a little person as a child. She then has to deal with the broken marriage and dealing with the baby on her own. And you know what I mean? Like, I think, and she's also the last person we see in the movie.
It starts on her,
and
too,
the first person we see.
Yeah, it starts and ends on Beckinsale.
That's true.
I'm inclined to agree, even though it really doesn't feel like she has any sort of like clout in this movie.
But nobody does.
Well, I think you're
McConaughey
right.
has flashes of clout.
Yeah, I think you're right in your interpretation of the film we watched. I think Gary Oldman's character is supposed to be the lead, and I think
he is supposed to be.
Yeah, I think what got cut out was all of, like you were saying, all of his development, his story. Yeah, his story. We needed to see at the end when he's like, "Yeah, I'm a writer. This estate is good for a writer." You're like, you have never told us your profession, so clearly, like,
what?
They just cut him into a supporting background character in this film about little people that he is portraying. Yeah.
And instead, they were like, "What if his scene is that he shows up at her place and then he sits on the couch and then he falls asleep?" That's good enough. That's good.
Well, thank you for indulging my fancy.
And also, I want to give a shout out to all the scenes where it's Gary Oldman wedged down into a fake couch, and then they have two little fake legs sticking off of his torso.
So much joy to know that he probably spent a day inside a couch. I'm so happy about that.
It's just they're so bad. They're so funny.
I was actually kind of, it pains me to say that I was kind of impressed with the practical effects that they were able to pull off. Because I know that like they used some kind of prosthetics to hide his real legs and the wider shots of him.
There was one really bad CG scene where he was walking down the hall, like it was a long shot of him walking down the hallway towards her door, and the legs were CG, but they were not done well.
Yeah.
But I agree with you, Dan. Like that effect was more or less, well, that's a different thing, different category, but I agree.
Yeah. The fart scene, Rain Man, good one.
Him farting in the phone booth.
Fart. Rain Man. Yeah, it's super redundant, as you said. It's like weird to talk about it. It's just that I also don't. Also, speaking of like relationships in these movies, that's also damn more what I was saying though. Like, I have sympathy for people having unresolved issues and things that they have to deal with. That doesn't change the fact that his treatment of Kate Beckinsale in almost every scene is quite toxic. Is all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Okay, give me an example.
But that goes
'Cause I
similarly with
don't remember
Tom
it clearly.
Cruise.
How about when she says, "I think I'm pregnant," and he's like, "We use protection." She's like, "Except for the 3 or 4 times a week you don't." But she's all like, "Oh, except for the 3 or 4 times a week when you wake me up in the middle of the night," and then he flips his shit.
And regardless, he prioritizes how he's feeling in almost every scene.
Every scene.
And whenever she tries to reconnect or get it going, he either gets madder or he leaves, or it's just generally really, again, it's rather toxic.
And also,
it's
was
not
he
how-
having an affair? Was that what was intimated with like his student, like the one blonde being like, "Well, who was that on the phone?" He's like, "You want to go to a party later?"
It seems like it was
Yeah,
intimated.
I
was
didn't
that?
get that at all. I didn't
But then-
understand why he invited her to the party, who that woman was supposed to be.
Yep.
It didn't make any. I thought that he was inviting her to the party in lieu of his girlfriend, but then he brings her and immediately introduces them. So obviously, so I don't think that they were
I
having
think
an
the
affair.
surprise was that, oh, they were his students the whole time. I think there was maybe more where we were led to believe like this mysterious blonde girl is having an affair. There's a lot more like scenes where she's like maybe getting changed in the shower and they cross paths and exchange some flirty thing, you know? I'm writing Tiptoes 2.
There it is.
Tip
What
two.
would that be called? Yeah, what would Tiptoes 2? What's the end of that title?
Tip 2.
Tiptoes 2 Offensive Boogaloo.
All right, we'll work.
I
on
working
it.
Escape
title.
from Pirate
Yeah.
Cove
Escape
as a sequel
from Pirate
edition.
Cove. Yeah.
Tiptoes 2, Escape from Pirate
Oh,
Cove.
we're back on Tiptoes. We got drawn back into the black
but Rain Man-
hole.
I know. Okay, but let's pull up for one more second. At least in Rain Man, it's weirdly enough, it's the same thing. Tom Cruise's treatment of his love interest is also completely fucked. And I don't understand her behavior at all. I actually like her
she was
performance.
great.
I like her.
Yeah.
But she's like mad at him and they're fighting. And then there's a scene where they're having sex in the same hotel room.
20 minutes after fighting, yeah.
20 minutes after fighting with the
With
door,
the door open?
With
The
this,
door
like,
open
this-
with his brother next to
with his autistic brother sharing a night for the first night. That I'm like, are you both crazy? Like, are you both so inconsiderate that like Miranda was like, they're having sex that night?
Right?
What? With the door open?
Well, it's because he's
What are you
selfish.
doing?
I think it's
But
supposed to
then-
be like he's selfish. Everything
Yeah.
is like, yeah, look, his character's selfish. His character's selfish. His character's selfish.
But he keeps
it's
getting what he
just-
wants. It's so
Yeah.
annoying. And she comes back to him
Yeah, for no reason.
just because
Yeah, she was
he's like,
worried
well, I'm
about
going to
him.
be in town. And
Yeah,
it's
surprises
he's
in
really
advance.
shitty to so many people. It's just really hard to root for people. It's like an old movie trope where it's like, we want to prove that they've gone through an arc. So here we go. They're terrible. like they're irredeemably asshole-ish.
But there's no arc. He is still. There's only a scene of him not being an asshole, and it's when he bonks heads with his brother.
It's still him kind of being selfish though, and saying, I want him to be with me. It's still about him wanting to take something.
But then
I
in
know there's
the
more
end, he
to it, but-
realizes the error in his ways.
that he
That's
can
the-
visit his brother anytime he wants. Whoa. I don't know.
He's out of debt
But
at
he-
least.
Yeah, but he didn't take any of the money from the inheritance, so that means he's a good person.
Because he didn't need it.
This movie would have been better if if Dustin Hoffman's character Raymond wasn't just like a prop most of the time. Like it would have benefited from a sequence where we saw it almost for a second where he leaves the side of Tom Cruise, like where he just goes off on his own and has like an independent moment, and we see how he actually deals with things.
Yeah.
And it isn't just Tom Cruise screaming at him or like
Both
you know what I mean?
films use their characters, their other characters, to center the struggles of the like leading protagonist, right? So they're always just like adventurers in our strong white man's journey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What a heckin' pair of movies.
But at least it was
Sean.
at least there was structure. I'm gonna like until the
Rain
end
Man?
when it fizzles out, there is structure to things. There
in
is
Rain Man.
In Rain Man. Yeah.
I mean, only insofar as there is always like a forward trajectory. They're always going somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
But other
It's a
than
long
that, it kind of
development.
meanders for.
It's a quick inciting incident. It's 2 hours of development, and then it's a climax and an end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also a pretty hard end.
Hard end.
Pretty hard end in
Which
Rayman
apparently it happened. The writers' strike. There was a writers' strike that year in Hollywood, and they were supposed to go on strike at like noon, and he got in his rough draft of this scene before the strike started. So that's them just like doing the worst version of that scene.
Oh no.
Oh dear.
I finished both these films, and I had two burning questions. One was, what does Tom Cruise do as a profession in this movie?
That's a good question.
He sells foreign cars that are souped up, I think.
He sells foreign cars that are souped up.
He buys and then resells them, but they're souped up to a point where the Environmental Protection Agency is being like, no, you can't
They're
bring
like
that
not street
exhaust
legal.
system. Yeah. That's my
Gotcha.
assumption based on my vague knowledge of that world.
Okay.
Okay.
I mean, that's probably about as clear as it can get. Also, and this might be an insensitive question, but I honestly don't know, so I'm honestly asking. When they're having the baby scene, the newborn baby scene in Tiptoes, are they in an entirely little person hospital?
No, I don't think. I think
Because everyone in the hallway is a little person, and the doctor is also a little person. Yeah, yeah.
Really? Oh, I didn't notice that.
And
I
the
did not
doctor is
see that.
also a little person.
I noticed that. I thought that
Then
they brought in the doctor
maybe.
who has a specialty in knowing how dwarf children, what their schedule needs to
develop
be
and-
growing up.
yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was who their specialist they brought in, but I did not notice the hallway.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Maybe, because they do mention early in the movie that people say, oh, it's so great. And I'm worried about the pregnancy. And they go, oh, yeah, well, we can refer you. There are specialists that and we can connect you with the right people. So maybe there are institutions that, that are for little people. I didn't notice that. So maybe.
That's certainly what they were saying, it seems.
That seems to be it. I think they were buying cars and souping them up. Wait, no,
in the hospital?
Yeah.
So did you love how David Mamet wrote that first scene? For sure in Rain Man? For sure David Mamet wrote that scene.
You mean the scene where, from the trailer, where she tries to give him a blowjob?
No, in Rain Man.
No, Rain Man, when they're in the warehouse on the phone.
Rain Man. Yeah, when he's like, I need 35,000 units of it stat. Yeah, no, I'm just on the phone with the guy. I need it now, damn it. You know what? Yeah, I was doing it in the... Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my Mamet.
Although I can also see Mamet writing the blowjob scene as well, because he's just that much of a misogynist.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
But, honestly, I will say thank God for her trying to give him a blowjob, because otherwise I would have had no idea they were a couple. So...
That's true. It's within 30 seconds, if there's no blowjob, I have no idea who's banging who in any film.
Yeah.
It's very confusing.
That was so confusing. He shows up and he's like, yeah, I'm not sticking around. I'm busy tonight. I got to leave right now. And she's like, oh, cool. Just 1 second. Let me just blow you real quick.
Yeah. And then
he's like, no.
He's like, no. He's like, really? And he's like, no, but they're both just sour babies about it.
Yeah.
And then she goes back to her tramp stamp and...
She goes back to her tramp stamp?
I don't want to hate on the tramp stamp too much.
Sure. It was just a weird focus of the film.
It's focused a lot. She doesn't wear tops that go down to her pants much, so you see a lot of the tramp stamp.
A lot.
But it's a cute tramp stamp. I don't know.
Whereas McConaughey's Moose Knuckle was supreme.
For some reason, when I hear Moose Knuckle, I think it's a camel toe.
Right.
Well, yes,
but also
when he strips down and he's in his diaper
and
underwear,
he's just in his Calvin Kleins. Yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah. But they're
he's kind of walking with his McConaughey hips forward thing, and he has a bit of a baby walk as well, and he's wearing these tidy whities, but he's also this really jacked adult man.
Correct.
He's a silly human. I both love and hate Matthew McConaughey, which is I think how we all feel now.
Correct. Yeah.
That's just it.
I'm gonna get another beer. Do you want to end the round there?
I'm going to end the round, and we're going to move into our second round here, which is looks good.
Oh, God.
And I mean, the answer is yes. I mean,
I thought Rain Man had some beautiful shots in it. I mean, it was, like the cinematography wasn't mind blowing, but it was clearly a high budget Hollywood film with a DP who knew what he was doing, and I thought it looked great. I mean, compared to Tiptoes, that was fucking Lawrence of Arabia, or what I assume it is, having never seen the movie. But
what? How do you mean? I'm sorry, I don't follow.
I don't know, because I've heard that Lawrence of Arabia is just like beautifully shot. I don't know.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
yes.
I have no real point of reference, but
okay.
I was cringing, absolutely cringing at some of the fucking camera work that was happening in Tiptoes.
Yeah. The close up on like her mouth when she's in bed and making a call that one time.
Oh my
what
God,
the fuck was that?
She's like, hey,
Just her lips.
I was just thinking of you.
Well, it was like for one
now.
scene, they were trying to paint her as a psychopath. That's what I felt like. I felt like they were trying to say that she had like a flip had switched, or a switch had flipped.
Flip had switched.
A flip had switched. But you know what I mean? Like something had flipped inside of her after finding out this like secret about him, and suddenly she's like lost it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Your brother showed up today. Isn't that interesting? Like on this weird filming. Where meanwhile, the
Real
filming of
close on
him
the
is just
list.
like a guy being like, yeah.
But he's up close too. It's like always like a 3/4 face shot.
No, man.
Isn't it?
That
it's like hips up.
No, dude, that was almost his entire, because he was sitting on the curb. It was nighttime. He's on the phone, and it's almost his entire body in shot.
Right. That's just before the mystery blonde is asked
Just
to go
before
to
the
party.
mystery
Right.
blonde.
Yes,
Exactly.
that's right.
yeah.
That's right. Yeah, he invited me to go to a party, and I thought we could go.
Yeah.
But then there's shots like there's like a group shot. I think it's the one where you find out that Gary Oldman's a writer, where they're like cutting to close-ups of each person, and every time they cut, the camera is like very shakily pushing in on the person, and then like they cut back to that person, and the camera's like reset and is pushing in again. But it's also like pushing in from below them for some reason. Like the camera movement makes no sense in this fucking movie.
I think it's to instill like to reinforce the height difference between the people. They can shoot from below and really make it seem like she's
sitting
way taller.
down.
So his legs are stuffed in the couch. Yeah.
Yeah, his legs are sticking out of the couch. So there's similar stuff I feel like in that big party scene that's out of place altogether in this movie.
Yeah.
Similar shots inside kitchens and stuff that feel very like indie, like lots of not even indie. It just feels like a grad film. Like it feels like a student film a bunch.
Fucking totally.
Especially like stuff like that party scene, the scene I mentioned where he's confronting his lover's Palestinian lover scene. Like the whole thing reads like a student film. It's like there's like bad stage combat where he's like punching the floor next to Gary Oldman's head, and the acting is weird, and
there's a couple moments of
Oh.
combat in this film where like there's that, which is literally just like he grabs him, throws him to the ground, and then like punches the floor, and then she gets on top and just kind of like flaps at him a bit.
Yeah. Then she hits him with a boom box.
Yes, and then Patricia Arquette, after telling Peter Dinklage not to go shoot the man, and like the vibe I got was don't be violent. She leaps from the room and assaults the hotel manager, and like you see it through a crack, her beating the shit out of him, but it is again like punches thrown around the side of the head to the floor.
Yeah. Also, what the fuck with that gun? Where did that come from?
He's a bad boy.
That must have been part of the movie. And he says if you want change in the world, it's going to be down the barrel of a gun. So I'm like, oh, he's going to shoot someone, and then that must have been cut too.
Right? Yeah. His whole. Yeah.
Yeah.
God, this movie looked like shit.
Does anyone know what the budget of this movie was?
I will look it up right here. Production. There are no notes there.
Oh, you don't have to like walk us through looking it up. We can also talk.
No, you talk. And
Yeah,
I was enjoying the play-by-play actually.
There's I'll just
I'm typing
tab over.
into the taskbar,
I'm typing.
clicking on the link.
I'm typing.
But like I have to assume that there was some money behind this movie to get the likes of Gary Oldman and Matthew McConaughey, because Matthew McConaughey was like at the first kind of peak of his career in 2003-ish, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
But at the same time, they're also paying Kate Beckinsale at scale. Kate Beckinsale. So
Beckinsale.
So
Kate's Beckinsale.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know, because I don't know where the money would have went if they're paying their actors at scale, and like there is nothing good about this movie from production value standpoint.
Yeah. Well, as you said, I will admit, as much as you never really believe it, because it's like, oh, look at that's Gary Oldman. They do. My eye was tricked most of the time that I didn't see anything like blatant. Like I recognized fake legs sticking out of a couch seat and the CGI moment that Sean mentioned. That I'm like, okay. But overall, it's pretty well achieved. Like, I'm not going to pretend otherwise.
But most of the time, they're shooting him from like the waist up, so he's just walking on his knees, right? So they're just framing it out. They're not dumping money into special effects.
But if it does the trick, it kind of does the trick. But
sure, but I'm talking about money. How much money? How much money did they spend on this movie? Is what I want to know.
I cannot find it.
And well, then I guess my next question is, because clearly someone is trying to keep those numbers a secret, how the fuck do you convince all these actors to be in this film? I mean, obviously Kate Beckinsale, we know, had luck on her side.
Oscar bait.
Yeah, because movies like Rain Man had come out.
Oscar bait.
I guess.
That's
I
it.
guess so.
These actors were all swinging for the fence. McConaughey's done his rom-coms, and he was like, it's time for me to get my Oscar.
This is
and he
still
got
how
one.
it happens.
But like, don't you read the script? Don't you read the dialogue that these characters are speaking and realize that this is going to be an abortion of a film?
Sometimes bad movies, sometimes bad scripts turn out to be good movies. Like there is something that is gained in the production process, obviously, and it's still a worthwhile endeavor. So maybe they rolled the dice.
And I also think that there was stuff happening again because people saw it as potential Oscar bait, or as like something that for people like Matthew McConaughey and Kate Beckinsale, who are trying to go more legit in their work, is going to push them, and they see it being, is it going to be the best movie ever? Maybe not, but it's going to help move them towards where they want it to go professionally.
Right.
Is my guess. Because again, because of stuff like every once in a while, because maybe it's going to be bad, but maybe it's going to be Rain Man. Is I think what they're thinking.
Yep. Because they don't know, like literally the execs have never had to talk with someone that doesn't look exactly like they do. They had never had to do that for a decade before the movie was made. So they probably were just like, a movie about people I don't recognize, and let's take the chance.
Yeah, how are you going to criticize the story when it's a story you don't know at all? So it's like, yeah, if this is what their world is like, according to the script, then great, script seems good.
Let's do it.
You know?
And it seems like, at least the Wikipedia page makes it seem like the troubles between the director and the producer started with Kate's hat, and how the director would not make her take it off, and the producers wanted her to take it off. And
it's the silliest part of the whole movie somehow. That fucking hat is ridiculous. You can't get back on the hat, but it's part of looks.
It is part of looks.
I thought it was the best part of the film.
It made me laugh a lot. I'll give it that much. It's just so funny that she's like, it's her going in for her first serious conversation in the movie. So yeah, I mean, it's cut weird. Like at the end of the movie, it really starts cutting weird. We have to reiterate that, like
a lot of blackouts.
How it's edited, and like there's these fade to blacks and stuff like that. And as we keep just like jumping these like time jumps, maybe, and people are just now at a cabin, and Dinklage and Arquette are there, and then this and then that, and then he shows up, and then there's like a prop baby. This is like a really obvious fake doll that she breastfeeds. That you're like, stop doing that, and it gets exceptionally bad at the end.
The last go ahead. You go first.
You go.
No, you go.
No, you hang up.
Okay. The last scene they have in the bed. It's an over the shoulder shot.
So many
of
bed
Kate.
scenes.
Yeah, over the shoulder shot of Kate, perfectly in focus. She's still mumbling, so I have no idea what she's saying. Perfectly in focus, and then over the shoulder shot of Matthew, just blurry as shit.
Yeah. And they clearly only did one take of that scene because every time they cut back to him, he's out of focus. Every single time.
I kept waiting for it to be resolved, but nope.
Nope. It's like it's on parallel with like The Room, honestly.
That's what I kept thinking. I honestly thought about that so many times while I was watching this movie. There are so many parts that feel like it was made by someone who has never made a movie before.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's yeah.
But without the weird kind of quirky charm of The Room. Because there's something like The Room is so it's such a car crash.
Yeah.
And so absurd that
and
it's watchable.
And they're all unknowns. So you're like, yeah. You didn't know.
Right. Yes, exactly.
And also it's also this wonderful place where the lesser known and the indie can like do a thing and it can be so bad that they get some fame out of it. And it's like they get to, that's for them. That's not for Gary Oldman and Matthew McConaughey and Kate Beckinsale. That's not for you.
Right.
That's for the little guys out there that accidentally fuck up so bad that it becomes genius. That's for them. If you fuck up so bad, we're a laugh at you. And also we resent you for doing this.
Totally.
Rain Man was a movie. There were some great shots. The lowering of the Lamborghini was pretty cool. I enjoyed that. And this great opening shot. There's a lot of mystery. You're like, what's going on? Who's our protagonist here? Why does he get a car? Why is it lowering him down? All becomes clear.
If you want like a lame Thelma and Louise, watch Rain Man.
Yeah.
If you want a movie about people driving across the country, but instead one is autistic and abusing
instead of supporting each other.
But a couple still nice desert shots still, then I mean, I would watch Rain Man.
Yeah, some desert shots. There's the casino shots were too claustrophobic for me. Not a fan.
Well, while we're on looks, I just want to quickly talk about how absurd it was to put them in matching suits for the casino scene.
For the brothers.
Okay.
I want to tell you also, sorry, just while you brought that up, Dan. Brandon and I also watched The Hangover like 2 days ago.
No. Oh, amazing.
And it's so great to fully get that reference, which I assumed was a reference to this. But
you didn't know that was a Rain Man reference? Like, I guess you hadn't seen the movie, right?
I kind of knew it to be a Rain Man reference, but I'd never seen Rain Man. So now I just fully see it. So we're like watching this, and I was like, oh, by the way, Miranda, I'm pretty sure this is where that scene that we laughed at Hangover is actually referencing this. And she was like, what? I was like, oh yeah. I was like, they're probably going to come down an escalator in suits in a second. And then like a moment later that happened, and she was like, it's the same suit. I was like, it's the thing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's brilliant. But I didn't like, especially they're going to do something with which they are saying is illegal, which apparently it isn't.
No,
but in this movie,
casinos can kick you out for it because they have the right to eject anyone they don't want on their premises. But
sure, my point is, the point is to not arouse suspicion while they're there.
Yeah,
they show up in flashy matching suits,
like.
And immediately start talking strategy and what cards are still in the deck on their first hand at the table.
Yeah.
Like
and Hoffman's being like,
grifters.
No, don't take that one. No, that one's good. No, don't take that one.
Oh,
that one's good.
There's still plenty of queens. All right, hit me. Like, what?
Yeah. Oh, you're not counting cards, sir.
And he's like,
but
so
also
tell me,
like
one or two, buddy.
Yeah,
like, 2 is good.
But also, like, in Vegas, if you're trying to blend in, you wear, like, touristy shit. You wear, like, a fat suit and a button-up shirt and khakis and a visor.
Movie. Tom Cruise and Dustin Hoffman in fat suits. Take America.
But you know what I mean? You don't wear the most fucking conspicuous thing in the world. Anyways.
It's true. Having never infiltrated Las Vegas for monetary gain, I am not aware of tactics for evading the security.
Fair. Also, we should go to Vegas.
I do not want to set foot in any square part of a desert. I thought I made that clear with my intro.
Oh, yeah, that one time. Yeah, you did really hate on the desert. Maybe
Today? In today's intro?
No, on the Fear and Loathing.
Fear and Loathing.
Oh,
People
yeah.
that have been watching listening
Remember
to
the podcast we did like
8 weeks ago or something? Yeah, that kind of reminds me, though. I like the idea of them being in a fat suit. I was going to do a little side tangent and to say, you know how like there are actors who, when they need a little kick of cash later in their careers, they'll like redo an old movie from their past, the Bill and Ted, the Dumb and Dumber, these type things.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if Tom Cruise and Dustin Hoffman did that with Rain Man and they
2?
like Rain Man 2?
Oh my god.
Offensive Boogaloo, yeah.
Escape from Pirate Cove. I'm telling you, it's always good too. Just like, but it's like totally, it doesn't track at all. Like it, I mean, they never do, but it's just funny to think about with other movies.
Where it's just like a 60-year-old Tom Cruise meeting with his 95-year-old brother. And like...
just screaming at him still.
Yeah. Yeah.
They go on another road trip. Yeah, but it's tricky. Like, I'm not going to remember a lot of Rain Man visually.
There's not a lot to remember.
It's well done, but it's kind of blasé at the same time.
I will.
Right?
I'll remember the final scene. I will remember that. That's pretty.
The train?
The psychiatrist? Oh, the train.
No, the train. I will remember the car. I will absolutely remember the car.
Mm-hmm.
Toothpicks. Got to remember toothpicks.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But as we talk about it,
you're forgetting more and more. Yeah.
Well, no, I was gonna say, I think that if we were to like judge the looks category, say based on which is more memorable, because they're both kind of whatever, I think I would remember more actually from Tiptoes.
It's like in terms of like not just memorable, but like which made a bigger impression on you? You know, which impacted you more at the end of the day?
I mean, none of it was positive, but
scarring, traumatic.
Yeah, it's funny, eh? It's like Rain Man should have done way more than what it did. Is what it feels like. It feels like it didn't give us that much. Tiptoes tried to give us a plethora of visuals. They really were trying to.
They hit a lot of styles. All we were missing was the drug trip.
The drug trip would have been in there, but we almost got that with the Patricia Arquette.
They are drinking morphine.
Drinking morphine, yeah, exactly. It's kind of funny when Peter Dinklage wakes up when he's been like after he had this like painful episode while trying to sleep with this hippy dippy woman they met, and he wakes up and he has a bunch of stones all down the front of his like on his eyes. That's actually kind of funny.
I did think that scene, to go to story, I did think the introductory scene between Peter Dinklage, when they're in the hotel room and they're getting down to business, and then he starts having his ulcer pain and he starts drinking. That was honestly the best part of the film for me, because then she tries to fix it because she thinks she's a healer by giving him what would be a back crack for a like 6 foot tall human being, but instead it's Peter Dinklage, and of course that's gonna fuck up a shorter person's back, right? So I thought we were going to get some nuance. We were going to get some layers here, you know? Fail.
That certainly felt more like a movie in that scene.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. I don't know. Is there anything else anyone that we want to say about this, or do we just move on and
move on?
It feels like we've hit the broad strokes of these. Like,
keep plugging.
Let's keep this train moving.
Let's get it toward the obvious full sweep for Rain Man.
Ooh, I
don't know about that, Sean. I'm going to be real with you right now. As we move into sound, so end of round, next round. Sound good? Sound effects. Okay, great. Tiptoes is a mess of sound.
What are we in now? We're in sound. We're in sound.
Sound.
The scoring that they try to force a scene to be a good scene with a bit of like weird bad synth music and stuff is it is like unforgivably bad.
For Tiptoes?
Tiptoes.
Yeah. There was
atrocious.
no cohesion whatsoever. They bounced from like
grunge.
like country rock to grunge to like some smooth reggae for some reason when Peter Dinklage is having sex with Patricia Arquette for a half a second, to like some weird soap opera melodrama scoring. Like it was all over the
schmaltzy
map.
piano at the end when you have like strings and piano.
Well, what I loved about that, what I love about the very end is that they have that schmaltzy piano music playing for like a hot second in the final scene, and as soon as like the third credit hits the screen, they smash hard to like some like country rock, like some really intense country rock music,
like a Hanson-esque.
Yeah. Yeah, which by that point was totally on brand and made perfect sense to me.
Yeah.
But it's such a clear indication of how much they cut from the end of the movie, in that they were relying on the music to make us feel what their edits could not make us feel.
Yeah.
And so it was all schmaltz for the last like 20 minutes of the film.
But again, also on this scenes that they had shot. The scenes, like the scenes of Kate Beckinsale and Matthew McConaughey in bed, or whatever, those scenes between the two of them are somehow the weirder scenes of the movie. And that includes, again, with sound, everything. They're weird. You can't hear them, but when you do hear, you're like, what are you saying? Did you just say circle jerk? What the fuck is happening?
Da, 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 da. Circle jerk. I'd love to see that. Da, 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 da.
Oh no, now he's upset. He's closing off again.
And then he punches a hospital wall.
Yeah, he, like, they indicate leading up to the marriage that he has some baggage to deal with. But
the
he
first or
like
second time he's told to go to therapy.
Yeah. But then he like rapidly barrels towards a fucking full-blown meltdown when that baby is born.
Yeah.
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 And it's so out of nowhere. We haven't seen it, right? We see their families come together and it's like, oh, we're coming to a conclusion where he realizes that he had the stigma and he's overcome it. Arc of character. And then okay, hard cut, jump to wedding. Cool, jump to wedding. I get it. You're wrapping a movie, jump to wedding. Fade out, hard cut to it's born, and he's in tears and he's sweaty and he punches a wall. And it's like, oh, new movie.
And Trip
totally
did a lot of coke and then went to his wife's delivery.
Yeah. It's so jarring.
Yeah. And then I think in the next scene he freaks out again and then leaves his wife, right? There's literally nothing in between that.
Yeah, that's the series of scenes where he gets mad, he calms down and says he'll be better. There's three scenes in a row where he says that exact same thing over and over.
He also says that he can't do it anymore and that he thinks it's better. I'm hurting you more than I'm helping or whatever.
Yada yada yada. Meanwhile, Hans Zimmer over in Rain Man Town is throwing down some not great music, if I'm being honest.
I mean, just having a blast in the 80s on a synth.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was fine.
It is.
It's fine.
It does what it needs to do for the movie.
Yes. This is not a movie that needs a sweet stinging guitar. Actually, you know what? If the Thelma and Louise soundtrack was on this film, better. Which was also Hans Zimmer, I think, right?
It was, yeah. It's always Hans Zimmer. I will say that the music in this movie is kind of equally jarring because it would be this kind of peppy synth music that would come in. And I tell you, it was always weird. And it felt like they were trying to force a tone on us where it wasn't someone screaming at an autistic man. For the movie, where they would like have this scene and they would scream at him for not wanting to go out in the rain, and then they'd be driving and the music would be like it's like this like these bass lines and this just like this playful energy and
lots of slap bass, synth,
lots of slap bass. And some like didgeridoos and stuff. They were going for like a Phil Collins-esque sound.
Yep. They were. Good fucking spot on that one, bud.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Just got shot a little bit hard there, I think.
Just like a little bit.
Yeah.
Phil Collins
that's the goal of the pod.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was louder than I thought. But it also felt jarring, like in the same way that it felt jarring in Tiptoes. I'm not gonna lie, like it was better music, but like but out of still place. Bad music, and still way out of place and forcing a tone that was not in the movie for me. Again, they don't have a good moment until 2 hours in.
But no, you go first.
No, you go first.
No,
Dan, you go first.
Fucking go first.
No, but I think, I mean, that's the reality about music, though, is that it can either like elevate a story that's already there, or add a story that isn't there, right? I mean, like we talk about Thelma and Louise as the comparison, and I think it's a lot easier to come up with this awesome score that kind of accentuates the movie when the tone and the themes are like readily available to you,
right?
As opposed to something like Rain Man, where there's not really a lot to pull from. You have to kind of use music to like put stuff onto it, right? So that it doesn't just feel like an abusive family road trip for 2 hours.
No, I will say there are 2 fuck you moments for me in this week. The first is just whoever makes the sound in Tiptoes can walk into the ocean, and the second one is in Rain Man, and suddenly there's a cut to a freight train cutting across, and I generally don't mind harsh cuts to loud things, but this went on way too long, and it made me very angry. I don't know why I was so angry. I was Matthew McConaughey realizing he was about to have a son angry.
That's good.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of, I mean, the only fuck you sound note I had for Rain Man actually was the fact that for somebody that this maybe is more of a story note, for someone that freaks out at the sound of a smoke alarm, Dustin Hoffman was amazingly composed with all of the commotion and chaos happening inside of a Las Vegas casino.
Right?
Yeah. The dings, yeah.
Yeah. I'll also go off that and say I also didn't like the way that they portrayed his episodes. The few times in the movie that Dustin Hoffman would, kind of have an episode and he would scream more intensely in reaction to a loud sound and stuff.
Yeah.
I didn't care for it. I also thought it was one of those things that they would have like if you want to have the camera switch and kind of tilt and come in underneath because there's a hard shift and of emotion. Okay. But they also added musical stings underneath it and they just,
right.
It was just, I don't know. There's something about it that just made me go
dramatization of it.
Yeah. It's like, you didn't have to do that. You could this is enough. He's upset. I don't know. I just thought
I was fine with it.
Whatever. I thought it was.
I was only bothered by it during the smoke alarm scene. I thought they went a tad overboard with that sequence, but the rest of it, yeah, it didn't really bother me.
Yeah. Okay. Fine.
So you're wrong, Jack.
So you're wrong, Jack.
Yeah. No.
No, democracy says you're wrong.
No, we can differ in opinion.
No, democracy.
No, I can have an objectively wrong opinion, and you have to respect it.
Democracy.
But I'm a Marxist.
That was my favorite. Who is this guy? I am French. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
all right.
And I also like his brand of politics. He's not happy until every member of Combus has their head on the spike for everyone to see. And he's in the background being like,
I wrote it down though. He actually says, I have this down as a like for later, but I'll say it now. That the line is, he's like, who are you? He's like, I'm a Marxist. Who the fuck are you?
Yeah. That's honestly probably the only way a Marxist should introduce themselves.
I guess so.
Yeah.
I read it. Like I bought it. I mean, you know, I get it. Shall we move on? Shall we just carry on?
Please.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
So end of round. Okay. I will wrap it up then for Dan, I guess. Our fourth official round here, going into
Oscar Award winner
the
Gary
command
Oldman.
performances in our category of acts good. No. The answer is no.
Listen, Rain Man. I'm going to stand by the accolades they got at the time as much as I've criticized the Academy Awards for being the shill of an institution they are. These are performances. I will give this movie performances.
That's fair.
Yeah, I would agree. I thought that the Italian girlfriend was
She's great. I like her a
so
lot.
great and so lovely. I think she
I
was
think she's
Italian.
Italian. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Valeria something Valeria.
I don't know. I mean, Tom Cruise was fine.
Anyway,
he served his purpose. And I was actually pretty fucking impressed with Dustin Hoffman. I mean, nothing about it seemed...
He's a brilliant actor.
Heavy-handed.
Yep.
I can't imagine how difficult that must have been to do. I have very limited experience with autistic people, but from what I have seen, I mean, it was on the extreme end of the spectrum, but like pretty fucking incredible, I thought.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then there's Tiptoes, of course.
Yeah. Hoffman's performance is in what I've read is not criticized necessarily for what he did, but more so that it is now the norm that that us normies go like, oh yeah, I saw Rain Man.
Right.
Yeah. You can add real fast. Yeah, because I think they even kind of say this in the movie, which is kind of important to understand, is that his level of autism is actually not that extreme.
Yeah, it's high functioning.
Yeah, that's actually a fairly low or more highly functioning autism. You know, that there are lots of autistic people. The spectrum actually goes where, again, they even say in the movie, like he can communicate, you know, to some degree. Like there is some communication. He has more autonomy.
Right.
He can, you know.
Yeah.
There's, you know, so it's actually a lower level, and that there's not levels. I don't know how to phrase it, but you know what I mean. It's actually not as far along the spectrum.
We at work we've done full performances for neurodiverse audiences where it's just like, this is the day where come in and it's usually children's concerts, so parents can bring in their children that are affected by autism spectrum disorder, and it's wild. It is truly a spectrum of functionality out in public that you can see all within this one performance space. And so this is a very, very specific percentage of that functionality.
Yeah. But I agree. Like, you know, I think they were going for a certain level, like a certain degree of where they were on that spectrum. And I think, I agree. I think Hoffman does a really good job. You know, I'm not gonna.
But McConaughey steals it. Oscar winner Matthew McConaughey.
I mean, Oscar winner Matthew McConaughey also really brings it home. Dan's a big fan. We know that.
Yeah.
Well, I know you guys are being sarcastic, but I really actually feel that way about this movie. That for what else is happening in Tiptoes, Matthew McConaughey is he deserves an Oscar.
Okay.
For this film.
Whoa.
What is...
And only relative to what else is happening in the movie, by no means is it like an Oscar-worthy performance on its own.
But he didn't show up. He wasn't there. He was not physically, mentally in any of those scenes.
No, I think
did we watch the same movie, man? I think
yes.
They essentially gave him like a pile of turds on a page.
Yes, everyone got those turds.
Yeah, they're like, here is a big booklet full of turd.
Yeah,
and
everyone take a big spoonful. Num num num.
He found a way to at least digest the dialogue in a way that it presented. It felt like real people, like a real person saying real words. He found a way to find some kind of emotional connection to what he was saying. But he was
not acting. He was just being a dude. He was just being Matthew McConaughey, showing up and speaking the words in the vaguest possible way he could while still collecting the paycheck.
I want to disagree with both of you. I actually, because I think what I'm arguing is something kind of in between. I think he was showing up. I just think he was showing up in a completely shitty actor way where he was totally self-indulgent and trying to like own and trying to make this his Oscar performance and try to show a dramatic turn. That's what I saw. I thought he was there. I thought, again, it's that thing, his wheelhouse that he didn't like anymore, of being the kind of charming, attractive guy. When he's just at the dinner party and he's just like having a nice conversation with Kate Beckinsale's dad, I'm like, oh, that was like a nice repartee. He's quite charming. And then when he has to be serious, he's like,
Yeah, but
he's
I
like,
wonder how much of that was direction, because they really wanted us to know that he was a guy who needed psychological help.
Yeah.
So I
I
wonder
don't
how
know.
much of that was him being directed to go overboard. And even if not, man, I feel like you think he was being self-indulgent because he was performing at a level that was like 2 notches above everybody else in the movie. Everybody else was fucking
Disagree.
phoning it in, except for
No.
Gary Oldman and Peter Dinklage. 100%.
And Patricia Arquette. Patricia Arquette is fine in this
She
movie.
was fucking fine.
She's fine.
I thought
She's
her and
such-
Dinklage were better
Yeah,
performers. And
they were-
Dinklage, despite his terrible accent throughout, which is hilarious.
I don't know how he gets hired to do these things.
It's the same
man.
with Game of Thrones. His accent in Game of Thrones is atrocious, but he's still a good actor and can bring you in. Yeah.
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 That
But
film.
I don't know, Dan. McConaughey, it sounds like we could just debate this all night. But look, I'm saying I agree that he showed up. I think because we can also reference where he went with his performing, like he's going for what he wanted to do. And eventually he just like co-produced True Detective where they let him do it for, and it was the character and you couldn't dispute that. The point is that he's deeply troubled and has all this turmoil. That's the whole thing. It felt like he was trying to insert extra turmoil into this character, and he wanted to do it for the sake of his own acting. I agree that he was showing up. I appreciate that he was doing work and that he was trying to act. I'm just saying it looked like some method bullshit.
Well, I mean, we can agree to disagree, I guess, but you are
democracy.
Yeah.
Well, I think right here we have the failures of democracy, where 3 different people all have different opinions on
Three-party
something.
system is the best
Yeah.
kind of system, at least.
There you go.
It's better than
You know,
two-party.
party
so.
like a 3-party party.
Gary Oldman doesn't get to be in his movie, so can't really rate him. But
How about the time when Kate Beckinsale had to go from like questioning to deeply emotional and crying, and so she went, and like
Yep.
buried her hands in her face to hide the fact that she could not cry in the scene.
Yep. Yeah, she was straight up bad.
Yeah, it's tough because she's really good normally.
Yeah, but I was serious. I had no idea that it was her until I looked this movie up afterwards. I thought she was just like a teen movie new actor who they could afford to hire.
Right.
Yeah.
Like it was atrocious, I thought. But again, they also gave her fucking shit to work with. Like
She wore the hat though.
she did wear the hat.
Yeah.
Gary Oldman, I thought Gary Oldman was, I mean,
He
he's
did
always
the job he was
he's-
supposed to do.
He's always a brilliant person and a brilliant actor in that I believed he was that person. I don't think that as an actor he had any right being in that movie.
Because Winston Churchill is lame. I said it.
Hot take.
Yeah.
Damn.
Twitter's about
Shots
to explode,
fired.
man.
Hashtag take away his Oscar.
Whoa.
Shit.
I'm making this into a clip.
Oh man. Yeah, no, but I mean, I thought his accent work was great. His physicality was good. I mean, he embodied the part insofar as I thought that he was that person. But my biggest issue was that what you mentioned earlier, Jack, that you have this whole cast of real little people actors, and then you cast Gary Oldman as the lead from that community,
Yeah.
and that I think is ridiculous.
I have a feeling that because Dinklage also defends the casting of the film, and I have a feeling it's because he thought when making it that having McConaughey, Beckinsale, Oldman in this movie that sheds light on the lives of little people, that it would do what Rain Man did
Right.
for the autistic community.
Right.
So I think he stands by it like that. Oh, we need the big names in order for this to get out there. But
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, but all the other side like the additional characters and actors in this movie are like they also do their jobs. Like they're pretty understated. They do their thing. The woman who plays Sally or whatever her name is,
ex-girlfriend.
The ex-girlfriend type isn't super great, but overall the family members are fine. Like they do their job pretty simply, and I don't know.
These are
The
rave
family was
reviews
actually
for an actor.
great. I thought the mom,
Yeah.
I thought McConaughey's mom in this film was really fun. Every time she was on screen, it was like, oh, she's really good. Fantastic.
I think the breakout performance that is not getting enough attention is the baby.
The baby
doll?
in
The
the scene
newborn?
where it cries, but it is a doll. Yes.
Yeah.
I have two pretty specific actor notes for Rain Man, for some tangential characters. I thought the guy who, the doctor who worked at the medical facility where Raymond was living, who was like the trustee to the will. I thought he sucked ass. I thought he was terrible. That scene where he's like by the pool with him offering the check, it's like the flattest delivery I've ever heard in my life. And Tom Cruise, who's trying to hone in his like intense young guy line energy, it's a really disjointed scene, and he's just awful. He's really bad. But then the guy who played he's some sort of legal person, the mediator in that last like scene.
Oh yeah, he was
between all of
the
them.
doctor. He was the doctor that was going to give the like yay or nay on whether he could keep custody.
I thought that guy was great. I thought he was funny.
Yeah.
He was very like, it was funny against Tom Cruise, or Tom Cruise is losing it. He's freaking out and he's like, I'm not telling you that. No, I'm not telling you that. I'm just saying I don't have that power. I can't do that. No, I'm not telling you that. And it's like, it's just really good. It's really, really good.
Yeah, he was on it.
Oh wait, do you mean the lawyer who was doling out the will in the beginning, or the guy at the end of the movie?
The guy at the end.
Lawyer at the beginning is actually, he was good too, but the guy at the end is what I'm talking about.
Yeah, he was great.
I had the exact same thought about the doctor at the institution, but I remember I thought exactly, is he really bad? No, I think it's just naturalism.
Yeah, take that naturalism.
Yeah.
Give us a show.
Aha. Acting.
Dan's like so unimpressed.
Can you guys not do this
okay,
podcast?
so you're doing something else now. That's fine.
No.
Yeah, Cruise, Hoffman. I don't know. I didn't really like Cruise that much in this movie.
Of the
I know what
things
you're
I've
saying,
seen Cruise
Sean.
in, I thought he was doing a really good job in this film, comparatively.
So wait, you're giving him like a kudos for like on the scale of work he's done.
On the scale of your career and abusive, manipulative, batshit insane human being aside, this is one of the better things I've seen him in.
It's like he was channeling his best David Miscavige.
Yeah.
In playing this role.
Yeah.
End of round.
Yeah.
Great. Well, those conclude our primary rounds. So we're going to jump into our fan favorite here, likes and gripes. Sing that catchphrase with us, likes and gripes. Where we take 2 minutes only, and we go through anything that we failed to mention, or things that we really liked, things that we really griped in these movies, and we just say them with little to no context. It's just a fun little lightning round. So, are we ready? We got Sean, we got Dan, we got then Jack.
In that order.
In that order. Are you ready, guys?
Oh yeah.
All right. So starting in 3, 2, 1, go.
Likes the Pony Express guy in Rain Man.
Like farting in a phone booth.
Like Dinklage with cornrows.
Oh, that was my next one, you dick.
Gripe Kate Beckinsale's apartment design.
Like beautiful, compassionate women with Italian accents.
Yeah. Gripe. The catchphrase, uh-oh.
Like the idea of Gary Oldman, Oscar winner, spending a whole day of shooting with his legs hidden inside a couch.
Yeah.
Like Tom Cruise being too short to reach the smoke detector.
Like like the idea of Tom Cruise calling Dustin Hoffman little guy.
Gripe, cheap punchable delivery rooms.
Fucking pass.
Like when Dustin Hoffman and Tom Cruise touch heads.
Gripe the shot where the car shoots the deck of cards everywhere.
That was a gripe for you?
Yeah.
Like sexy reggae. I have horrible notes this time.
Gripe every bedroom scene.
Gripe whoever wrote the elevator kiss scene.
Oh, like the elevator kiss scene.
What is wrong with you?
No, I don't have anything else to read, so I'm just making shit up now.
Gripe, just Tom Cruise screaming at him for, I had noted at least an hour and 26 minutes.
Gripe learning about fireman regulators.
Gripe forcing random people to watch People's Court in their living room.
Like the line, "We're twins."
Gripe everything. Go, Daniel.
Did you go?
Gripe everything. Go.
Pass. I have no notes for this one.
I have a gripe Peter Dinklage's accent.
Like Kate's hat.
I just have a note that says during fart story cuts to reaction shot of Oldman where Kate is clearly talking but she's muted. So gripe.
Like Miranda turning to me during Rain Man and just going, "I just feel terrible."
Like her artwork.
Oh.
Like the line, "The asshole is the strongest muscle in the human body."
Like
The timer's
seeing.
still going?
Yeah, this is the longest 2 minutes ever.
This is the longest. Oh, we must be done.
You didn't start it,
You didn't
did you?
hit start, did you?
Oh, I did. We just did 3 minutes. It was going to go for 2 hours.
Can you imagine? Whoever's still listening 2 hours from now.
We're
man, the way the trees blended into the hilltops and
being willing to adjust your wedding ceremony to account for another religious view.
yeah. Oh.
Like family dinners. Gripe bad entrees.
Yeah.
Sorry guys.
It's okay. So we're gonna take it from the top then.
Yeah, we'll start over. So anyway, like saying gripes.
Oscar
So let's get our ratings for these movies. Let's how do the categories fall?
We watched what movies did we watch? Rain Man and
Tiptoes.
I like to make my little chart so I can keep
Ooh,
and
okay.
hopefully you at home are also keeping track of the score. Rain Man and Tiptoes.
So first of all, looking at story. So this one, look, I don't really love the story of Rain Man, but it's obviously the winner.
Yeah, of course.
But okay, is it?
Nope.
Is it though?
Yeah.
Is it?
Probably?
Yep.
Is it? We talked at length
It is.
about the fact that that this movie is kind of devoid of story, didn't we?
Tiptoes is correct.
No,
Yeah,
Rain Man. I mean Rain Man.
No.
No, Rain Man has a story. It just kind of sucks and redundant. Unfortunately, it's that thing where, Tiptoes is like watching Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas again, but there's even more little people.
Yeah. Except at least there was like an emotional feeling that wasn't just fear and loathing out of that movie.
Right. Yeah, I'll go with
yeah.
Rain Man, sure.
Rain Man. Boom.
It's just got to be.
Yep.
It's just got to be.
Looks.
Looks. So I'm going to be real. I'm going to remember, and I'm going to be left with more impressions from Tiptoes.
Cool. It's
Yeah.
Rain Man though.
I agree. I'm going Tiptoes.
What are you fucking sucking over there? Come on.
Well,
No,
Tiptoes, man.
look, Rain Man. It's one of those things where
Huffing some gasoline?
look, I got to take away points for movies that could have done more, and they just do that. Like I didn't
Okay.
care for
I
them.
just believe
I
it's
didn't.
inconsistent, but okay.
Yeah, I'm just saying I enjoyed it. That's
Okay.
all I'm saying.
Okay.
I mean,
enjoyed it
I
more.
did complain earlier about how little I enjoyed the look of Tiptoes. I agree that it is definitely the more memorable visually of the two. But if I'm being completely honest, I mean, Rain Man does obviously look better as a movie. So I'm going to have to go with Rain Man.
Okay, so now purely technical bullshit here. Okay.
Rewatchability is our wild card there, bud.
Okay. Jeez. We have a format. Sounds.
Tiptoes.
Tiptoes for Rain Man.
Rain Man.
Tiptoes.
Rain Man.
Tiptoes.
Are you doing tiptoes?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, Tiptoes.
Explain yourself.
More fun music to listen to, albeit completely out of place.
Cool.
No, the levels in Tiptoes are some of the worst we've had on the podcast.
The worst. I've been angry about levels.
I was
before.
riding it between 20.
Did I disappear?
No, you're still here.
You're kind of frozen.
There
You're back. No, you're, okay.
Yeah, no, this movie is the worst levels of any we've seen.
Yeah. I was riding between like 20 and then 80 on my remote.
Yeah.
I didn't have that problem at all. I don't know what you guys are talking about. I didn't encounter that issue.
Do you listen on headphones?
No.
Oh, well then, yeah, I don't know.
Were you on headphones?
No.
Because maybe it's just Samsung TVs.
Maybe Samsung needs to get their shit together.
Yeah, you better send us some new TVs, Samsung, or we'll review you terribly.
Yeah,
come on, Samsung. Acting.
Still waiting for that sponsorship. Yeah, no, look, it's got to be Rain Man. The sound in Tiptoes is somehow the worst part of it, which is saying something.
Wait, are we still on sound or are we on acting now?
Sound. I'm saying the sound.
Oh,
we're saying the point goes to Rain Man for sound.
Right,
yeah.
right. So it's 3-0 Rain Man.
So it's currently has won, but let's see how the points play out. Okay. Acting is going to be Rain Man.
Yeah. Sean's gone now.
I think Sean.
Now we've lost him.
We're kind of losing Sean. It's the clear and obvious winner. Let's see. Maybe he'll join us again. Come on, Sean. You can do it. Join us for rewatchability because I can't wait to break your heart.
Shut up. No fucking way. Oh, he's back?
Hey.
Hi, Sean.
Hey.
I have no idea what happened. Hey, Zoom.
We said Rain Man gets acting.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Jack is about to fucking lie through his teeth for rewatchability.
Rewatchability, 1,000% Tiptoes. 100,000%. That is a gem of trash.
Actually, yeah, go ahead.
I don't want to. Rain Man was a grueling movie to watch. It was so hard to watch. I did not have fun. It was 2.5 hours almost of no fun. I was having some fun in Tiptoes. Tiptoes 1,000,000%. It's a legend of schlock.
I didn't have any fun in Tiptoes, but I will say that I don't need to see Rain Man again. And Tiptoes is maybe a movie like I was a little disappointed because Sean hyped this movie up as being like the most offensive thing I'll ever see.
It's pretty offensive. It's pretty offensive.
I don't think it's that offensive. I think it's just weak.
To cinema and also to its like just usage of look, I'm on the same I know where you're going and I'm right there with you and I'm ashamed of myself.
That Tiptoes is getting rewatchability.
That I will sooner recommend someone see Tiptoes.
Yes.
Because of how
yeah.
just awful it is than I am to say you should watch Rain Man because it's right now it's like okay, that's a film.
It literally, I want to reiterate, that ending almost got a standing ovation from me. It was awesome. Truly awesome.
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't know that I would recommend this movie if it didn't have all the people that it has in it. Like, I think the part of the appeal of this movie is you have to see this train wreck that has all these A-list actors.
Like a lot of your favorite people at rock bottom.
Yeah.
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 Correct. It's great.
Yeah. So there you go. 4-1.
4-1.
In a still completely unfair fight that should have never happened.
I don't know.
There was a chance.
I mean, it was a good pairing, but like there was no way Rain Man was going to lose to Tiptoes ever.
Having seen them both now, correct.
Yeah. But I didn't know that. I thought Tiptoes might have achieved a level of like godlike schlockness.
Because Rain Man exists in a time of movies where knowing its subject matter easily we could have been like, oh, this is unacceptable.
Right.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
I was actually impressed in that regard because I thought it would actually be handled far more poorly than it was for the time.
Yeah. There's still times when like his affliction is sent up as being funny, which is not great, but compared to what they do with Tiptoes, it's nothing. So
yeah, I don't make this clear. Like, it's 4-1, and I voted for Rain Man in all the other categories. I overall enjoyed. Again, I want to reiterate how much I enjoyed Tiptoes more than Rain Man.
Cool. It's 4-1 though.
So much more.
It's 4-1.
Yeah, but like
as it should be.
But I would give Tiptoes like 3 enjoyability points. Is what I'm saying.
Are we starting those? Is that what we do now?
Just stack enjoyability to give it a fighting chance.
You can give as much as you want to enjoyability.
Great.
And
Can I just take all my points
enjoyability
away from the other categories and put it all into enjoyability?
It's look, it's the most important one.
I'm putting it into Indiana Jones. So retroactively, Indiana Jones now won that episode.
No dice.
What did it lose to? Oh,
National Treasure.
Yeah, that was a fair win.
You hacked.
Fair win.
Yes.
It was a fair win.
This is it. You're just still on about that ever since. All right. Well, that means that the Citizen Kane of the week is Rain Man. Rain Man. Yeah.
I'm trying to think of what will be an appropriate drum roll for this episode, and I don't think there.
You haven't sang fart.
Yeah. I mean, don't. But yeah.
Yeah, don't. Yeah.
You could just have one of Tom or Matthew's like toxic breakdowns. Any one of those.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
Some toxic masculinity.
I'll just put a regular drum roll.
Yeah, regular drum roll would be fine. So it's
next up.
I'm pitching some movies.
Yeah.
What do you got?
I had a couple. I have a couple things. I have some also kind of curveballs that I have in my mind. I'll kind of tease that. There are some that like we've yet to do the classic versus the remake or reboot.
It's true.
Pairing yet, and I think there might be time for some soon this season, but I don't think I want to do it yet. I think we've had some guests, which has been awesome, and I think we've had some interesting curveballs like this episode. I want to bring it back around. I want to get back to our roots for an episode, and I want to go true classic versus true contemporary schlock. Schlock being that it's just like a less than good, like more contemporary movie, I guess let's say. So we're next week gonna watch a classic blockbuster, Ben-Hur.
Yeah.
Movie that I've never seen.
Versus.
So Ben-Hur, a classic of cinema. It's one of those things it's like if you're gonna go over movies, you gotta watch Ben-Hur eventually. It's just
we can
part
find
of
the
it.
exact moment that a man dies.
No, did someone die in that film?
Oh yeah.
Oh, I don't like that at all. Minus points already.
What is Ben-Hur? Actually, no, I'll ask after. What's the other one?
Read the Bible.
Oh no.
Romans, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Slaves.
And we're gonna pair it against. We're gonna stay in the world of swords and sandals, and we're gonna do the Channing Tatum led The Eagle.
Yes.
I love The Eagle.
Do you actually?
I do.
I've never seen it, but I'm excited about that one.
It's ridiculous.
I've never seen it either. Maybe I've seen bits of it.
Ben-Hur is 3.5 hours long.
Yeah, you just wait till Cleopatra week, bud.
Ben-Hur is fuck.
Sorry, buddy.
Set aside an afternoon.
I'm gonna have to
tell your lady it's you and Judah Ben-Hur just going to town for 4 hours.
She's gonna fucking hate this. She hates anything biblical. Okay, continue.
That's it. That's nothing more continue. So tune in next episode for Ben-Hur versus the Eagle.
Yeah.
It's just gonna be 2 hours of me screaming and crying. and just bitching about the fact that you made me sit through 3.5 hours of
I would
fucking
totally
Ben-Hur.
accept that. We just like don't talk about the movies at all. It's
Daniel,
just you berating us like Matthew McConaughey.
Daniel, if I can preemptively give you something to look forward to, it is one of the cinematic masterpieces of the 20th century.
Yeah.
Okay,
It features the longest chariot scene in any movie
ever.
Is it like a one take? Is it a oneer?
Remember the
No.
D&D campaign like 2 weeks ago with the chariot
Yes,
race?
yes.
Yeah, it's Ben-Hur.
All right. I'm
Yeah.
in. I'm back in.
It's like over 10 minutes or something.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
But
I'm assuming every scene is probably about 20 minutes in this fucking movie.
All right. Well, that's it. We're wrapping it up. If you've listened this far, thanks so much. These movies were wild. And again, like, subscribe, rate, review, all those things. If you know Carrie Elways, even if you don't, actually, you can use our hashtag #ComeOnCarrie. We're trying to get him to come on the show. Why? We don't know. It's just to give us purpose in this aimless life.
Mostly because we all love The Princess Bride, I think.
I think mainly just because of The Princess Bride.
Yeah.
I like
we
the
would
Jungle
like,
Book.
and he seems like a cool guy. We'd like to hang out.
Yeah. So we've chosen you, whether you like it or not, Carrie.
Sorry.
The only way to make this stop is to come on the show. So best give in eventually. But that's it. That's it.
The only way to make this stop, like we're affecting his life in any way.
I mean, not yet. We aren't yet. But
We're easing into it.
we have
We're easing into
200
it.
Twitter followers. So,
Oh, shit.
Yeah. Once we get the skywriting going, he's going to be like,
Yeah.
okay.
yeah.
You know.
And
Citizen Kane versus